Courtrooms are supposed to be places of justice, order, and calm. But sometimes, things take a violent turn, fast. From a man launching himself at a judge, to a defendant knocking out his own lawyer in front of everyone, to a double murderer elbowing his attorney mid-sentence, these aren't scenes from a movie, to say. They're real moments of chaos caught on camera. Today, we're diving into some of the most shocking courtroom outbursts ever recorded found, where mental health, rage, and desperation explode right in front of the judge.
What's up? Hey! Oh!
Touch me like that!
This is Rin, who is currently facing attempted battery charges in Las Vegas, Nevada.
In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court
Hey! Oh!
The 30-year-old was taken into custody after allegedly assaulting his brother-in-law with a baseball bat. Raiden pleaded guilty and was facing a potential prison sentence of 1 to 4 years. During his sentencing, Raiden had a calm and straightforward exchange with Judge Mary Cajas.
Based on my criminal history, I feel that I should be sent to prison for a second time.
Have you looked at your criminal history? Have you looked at your criminal history?
I've actually just I looked at it.
I mean, you lived it, I
I
suppose.
just looked at it.
Yeah.
Redden, who has battled mental health conditions such as schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, attempted to persuade the judge that he was worthy of a second chance.
Having a dictionary and understanding myself, getting to know myself a little better, and applying it to my personality, and having an epiphany at that moment in those instances, and just trying to learn from my mistakes. I feel like I shouldn't be sent to prison. But if it's appropriate for you, then you have to do what you have to do. But I figured that, if I'm in a better place in my life, I'm not doing drugs, I'm not out there committing crimes now, and I feel like I should be given a shot because I'm in a better place than I was.
But Judge Huss was having none of it.
I appreciate that, but I think it's time that he get a taste of something else because I just can't with that history.
This is when the defendant went nuts.
In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court
Redden leapt over the courtroom bench and charged directly at Judge Hurst. Deputies were eventually able to subdue him. The courtroom erupted into chaos as alarms sounded and people began shouting for help.
Gosh, dude. This fucking skin's hanging. No, come on. Somebody call 911.
That's affirmative. Medical is requested. Judge's chambers.
Yeah, be advised. 515's got a big laceration to his head. Judge hit her head into the wall, and I got an inmate that's bleeding up here.
There's going to be a positive transport to UMC for the marshal.
Be advised, I'm also going to need a biohazard cleanup for a lot of blood.
Fortunately, Judge Hurst was not seriously injured. It was later revealed that Redden had punched her multiple times and pulled out strands of her hair.
However, one marshal was hospitalized and required 25 stitches after sustaining a forehead injury and a dislocated shoulder.
A few days later, Redden returned to court to hear his sentence for the original assault case. This time, he was heavily shackled and wore a spit mask.
All right, this is on for the continuation of Mr. Redden's sentencing. I want to make it clear that I am not changing or modifying the sentence I was in the process of imposing last week before I was interrupted by defendant's actions. All right, that being said, in accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court does now sentence you 19 to 48 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections.
Additionally, Redden faced 13 new charges related to the attack on Judge Hurst, including attempted murder, battery, and extortion by threat.
You're being charged with count 1, attempt murder, victim 60 years of age or older, a felony. Count 2, battery on a protected person resulting in substantial bodily harm, victim 60 years of age or older, a felony. Count 3, extortion by threat, a felony.
If convicted, he could spend decades behind bars cell, while Deborah Redden unleashed his anger on an unfortunate judge. But how does this compare to giving your lawyer a knuckle sandwich, like in the case of Christopher Teal? Teal, who appeared in the King County Courtroom in Seattle, Washington, is facing sexual assault charges.
In May 2018, Teal, who was homeless at the time, followed a woman into the restroom of a car dealership and assaulted her. He was arrested after employees at the company intervened and stopped the attack. Teal was charged with first-degree assault and unlawful imprisonment. During a competency hearing, he appeared in court represented by his attorney, Reed Birkland. As the hearing began, Teal seemed amused and raised his arm toward Birkland before being restrained by a deputy.
Mr. Teal's present, he's in custody, he's represented by counsel, Mr. Birkland.
Then suddenly, without provocation, Teal snapped.
From his counsel, who I'll defer to in a moment, that they are now stipulating that Mr. Teal...
Suddenly, Teal punched his own lawyer, but fortunately, court deputies were able to quickly restrain him.
Get down! Face down! Face down! Put your hand behind your back! Put your hand behind your back now!
A spit hood was placed over his head, and Teal was removed from the courtroom. The next time Teal appeared in court, the deputies urged he wouldn't be punching anyone.
New counsel has been appointed since the last hearing.
Eventually, Teal was sentenced to 8.5 years in prison for his original charges. While Christopher Teal's reaction might be seen as a mental health issue, how does that compare to punching your lawyer in the face, like in the case of Joseph Zeeler? Cape Coral, Florida, the story of Joseph Zeeler is connected to an event from May 1990.
11-year-old Robin Cornell and her babysitter Lisa Story were found assaulted and murdered at their home.
The suspect in this case, 54-year-old Joseph Zeeler, is now facing several different charges. They include battery and first-degree murder.
The gruesome scene was discovered by Robin's mom, Jan Cornell, who called 911.
911! Please send someone to my house! Someone come to my house! I think my daughter's dead! Oh my God, please hurry! And please just calm down with me. Oh my God!
The case went cold for over 2 decades until Zeeler was arrested in 2016 for shooting and injuring his son. Zeeler's DNA was collected and entered into the database, which matched the DNA evidence from the 1990 crime scene.
He was then charged with 2 counts of capital murder. At his trial, the prosecution sought the death penalty.
The kind of factors which makes what the defendant did to Robin Cornell and Lisa Story so grave, so serious, that death is the appropriate recommendation, that death is the appropriate sentence.
Zeeler also took the stand, where he initially denied knowing both the victims and Jan Cornell.
Do you know Jan Cornell?
No, I don't know Jan Cornell.
Do you know Lisa Story?
No.
Do you know Robin Cornell?
No.
However, Zeeler later claimed his DNA was at the crime scene because he and Robin Cornell's mother, Jan, had been involved in intimate relations the night before the murders.
And what I believe happened is I slept with Jan Cornell and Leanne Deller, and they were just too much of a pig not to wash their sheets.
He even called the mother a pig.
Your DNA would have still been there 5 months later.
Yes.
And that's because they're pigs and they don't wash their sheets,
exactly.
Right?
Zeeler then claimed that the prosecution was framing him.
They actually did retest NB32, that they actually took the sheet, recut another sample, and had another analyst do the same test. Did you hear that?
Yes.
So the retesting was done.
I believe FDLE is siding with the prosecution. Of course they're going to say that.
At one point during his testimony, Zieler appeared to make an obscene gesture toward the courtroom camera. Ultimately, the jury found Zieler guilty of first-degree murder.
We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the charge. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder of Robin Cornell. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 2 of the charge. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder of Lisa Story.
Despite his antics, what Zieler did next left the entire courtroom stunned. At his sentencing, Zieler appeared in handcuffs and then asked his attorney, Kevin Shirley, for a private discussion.
What's that?
As Shirley leaned and Zieler threw a cheap shot with his elbow thankfully. Detectives quickly subdued him. Meanwhile, Shirley saw the funny side of the incident.
I used to box. I've taken a lot better shots than that.
After the dust settled, it was time for Zieler to learn his fate.
The court to conclude that the death penalty would be a proportionate sentence in this case. Therefore, the court concludes that under the laws of the state of Florida, the defendant has forfeited his right to live. Accordingly, it is ordered and adjudged that the defendant, Joseph Adam Zieler, is hereby sentenced to death for the murder of Robin Cornell and the murder of Lisa Story.
Ultimately, Zieler was sentenced to death for the murders of Robin Cornell and Lisa Story, while his attack on his defense team appeared to be premeditated.
Courtrooms are meant to be places of order, but as we've seen today, sometimes chaos takes over. These shocking moments remind us how unpredictable real life can be. If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the most unbelievable moments caught in court. Thanks for watching, Kai. Until next time, stay curious, and stay safe.